Hi, it's Crystal Woodbridge here, your nature-inspired relationship coach, and I'm sitting in my conservatory at the moment enjoying a thunderstorm. Now, not everybody likes thunderstorms. I love them. I've always loved them since I was really small. I find them really exciting, really exhilarating. And one of the things I liked about thunderstorms and still like about thunderstorms is the fact that because it's been really warm and sunny here in the UK for the last few days, on and off, it's been, the temperature's been building, the heat's been building, and there's that kind of feeling just before a thunderstorm that there's a tension in the atmosphere. And you know the storm's coming, and then when it does, because you're so hot, you're so stifled, it's so refreshing. So it's just pouring down with rain outside at the moment, and it just came on very suddenly. And what I know will happen is afterwards, there'll be all this lightning now and all the loud noise, and it's quite jarring, and a very stark contrast to how it's been in the last day or so, which has been very hot, very close. And so I know that later on I'll go outside into the fresh air, the air will have cleared, all that mugginess will have gone, the atmosphere will feel new and fresh, the smells will be different, it'll be cooler. And it's, when there's a thunderstorm after a period of hot weather, everybody always says, oh, we needed that, didn't we? That's felt a lot better afterwards. And I think that's really true, and I think that really compares or draws parallels with conflict in relationships, because sometimes, in a couple relationship, and I notice this with couples all the time, there's like a build-up of tension, and the build-up of tension gets greater and greater and greater till one or both of you blow, and actually there's a big conflict. And I think a lot of couples shy away from this, but I think actually conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing in a relationship at all. In fact, I think it's very natural. So if you think about the comparison with a thunderstorm, or you think about a bushfire, or if you think about an earthquake and how mountains form, all of these processes can be very destructive, and they can be very scary, very frightening. And yet mountains are formed from plate tectonics. Bushfires are really important to some ecosystems, even though they can be really destructive. And a thunderstorm really clears the air, so it's a natural process, and we're nature ourselves, so it's natural that in us there's, we're going to have conflict in our relationship, it's inevitable. That's just part of nature, and it's something that has to happen sometimes for things to move on in a fresh way. But I don't think that means that conflict has to always be destructive, and I think the reason that sometimes couples get really scared of conflict or shy away from it is because they don't feel confident that they can manage conflict in a constructive, skillful way. So they're worried they're going to go into conflict, come out feeling like they've been in a battle, feel like they're wounded, rather than feeling like they go into conflict, they're able to have a rational, respectful discussion with each other, take into account each other's feelings, and feel like they can come away from it having reached a compromise or an agreement or a new understanding about each other. But that's exactly what I help couples do in relationship coaching. Conflict does not have to be a bad thing. I'm actually about to release a brand new e-course called Compassionate Conflict for Couples, and that sounds like an oxymoron, compassionate conflict, but I really believe that conflict is not a bad thing. You can be compassionate in conflict, and that conflict isn't something to shy away from. When you feel confident and you feel like you have the skills, the tools and techniques to actually manage that skillfully, conflict's a really good thing. It's something you can, believe it or not, actually look forward to, a bit like you look forward to that rainstorm and the thunderstorm when it's been really muggy. You can actually look forward to it because you know that when you are able to handle those stressful situations, all those really sensitive subjects with each other, and actually feel like you can resolve those, you feel more confident, you feel like you learn more about each other, you can grow closer. So it can be a really positive thing. Now, your experience of conflict might be the opposite of that, because you have had negative experiences with your partner or in past relationships, or maybe your parents didn't resolve or manage conflict in a very positive or constructive way. And that's really normal. It's really normal to go into a conflict situation or a potential conflict situation and feel anxious, scared, overwhelmed even. And it might be that you're not sure whether there might be conflict. You might have something to say to your partner and you're not quite sure how to say it without things escalating. That's really natural and normal, and you don't want to offend each other, and it's not why you want to bring those issues up necessarily in the first place. You actually want a resolution. But when conflict happens, when emotions escalate, when they're not kept in check and they're not managed in a way that feels constructive, emotional arousal happens. You go into that black and white thinking mode where you think you're right and your partner's wrong, and they think that they're right and that you're wrong, and so you're not really having a conversation at all, because all you're doing is just being very invested in your own point of view. You're not able to listen to each other properly because you're so emotionally aroused. And so conflict's meaningless because neither of you are then talking about the underlying feelings. But the good news is that there are lots of skills, communication tools and techniques that you can learn to actually help you do that. So that actually conflict does have meaning and it does have a purpose, and it's that the point of it then moves from being point scoring or just trying to get your point of view across, you know, proving your point, to actually sharing information about how you feel with your partner as a gift to them and the relationship, so that you can work out what's not working for you, how you would like things to be different, and what you're both going to do about that going forward. So the big question is how. So why don't you come over to crystalwoodbridge.com, so Crystal Woodbridge, Krystal Woodbridge.com, and what you can do is you can sign up for my newsletter, you can follow me, you can follow my blog, or you can come over to my Facebook page if you're not already on my Facebook page that is watching this. And I'm just always posting regular advice and guidance for couples on just these sorts of issues. And I've actually got a free communication guide that you can download as well, and that just gives you all the key principles of communication. And also, if you sign up for my newsletter and you follow my blog, what will then happen is that as soon as I release my new conflict resolution for couple, or my compassionate conflict for couples it's called, as soon as I release that course, you'll be the first to know, and there'll be some great sign-up offers for that. So I really look forward to speaking to you online soon, and just remember, my golden rules are: maintain your relationship and then you can watch it thrive. And basically what I mean by saying that is that if you tend to your relationship regularly, that if you pay close attention to it, you avoid all those crises and you avoid big escalation arguments, and actually can prevent those sorts of things from happening in the first place. So if you maintain your relationship, you can watch it thrive. And I really look forward to seeing you online soon. Bye.